op-amps and its applications. So in module 4, you will be studying with basics of op-amp, the three basic configurations of op-amp: inverting, non-inverting, and what? You have studied in your basic electronics. What's the other basic configuration?
Voltage follower.
Voltage follower, you're right. So inverting, non-inverting, and voltage follower, the three basic configurations we will study, and how to derive the expression for the input impedance, output impedance, and voltage gain of all these three configurations, because now they'll be working like amplifier. And later on, we'll start off with applications. There are few applications in module 4, like adder, subtractor, integrator, so on. And some more applications are continued in module 5. So I think we can start off with module 4. See, as I told you, we'll study the inverting and non-inverting amplifiers, the closed loop voltage gain, input impedance, output impedance, bandwidth, and feedback. And the second part of this module 4 has applications, amplifiers working, op-amp working as a DC and AC amplifier, summing, scaling, averaging, circuits, instrumentation amplifier, comparators, zero crossing detectors with trigger. And for this portion, your reference textbook is Op-amps and Linear Integrated Circuits by Ramakant Gayakwad.
Ramakant
Joined just
Gaikwad.
now. Chandan, your mic is on.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay. So please remember, for the op-amp portion, the reference textbook is Ramakant A. Gayakwad, 4th edition. If you are taking textbooks from anywhere for op-amp module 4 and module 5, this is sufficient. Now let's start off with basics of op-amp. We know the full form of op-amp is operational amplifier. How do you, can somebody tell me why it is called as operational amplifier? Anybody? Why it got the name operational amplifier? Quickly, you should answer.
Ma'am, it can perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, integration,
Yes.
differentiation.
Yes, it can perform all kinds of mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, integration, differentiation, multiplication, whatever you think of, all different types of mathematical operations it can perform. Hence, it got the name operational amplifier, as it could perform almost all mathematical operations. So how do we define an op-amp basically? Op-amp can be defined as a very high gain differential amplifier, which usually consists of one or more differential amplifiers followed by a level shifter and an output stage. So what do we mean by that? So we have generally 4 stages in an op-amp circuit. What are the 4 stages present inside an op-amp? You have basically, one second. Yeah, I'll write it here. The stage 1 is a differential amplifier. Okay. And stage 2 is another differential amplifier. Stage 3 will be a level shifter. And stage 4, we call it as the output stage or power amplifier. This is called output stage, or it is basically a power amplifier. So we have 4 blocks when I talk of the internal building blocks of an op-amp. So what are the 4 different building blocks of an op-amp? We have 2 stages of differential amplifiers. Usually, the first stage we say what? Balanced output differential amplifier. The second one is an unbalanced output differential amplifier. Third is a level shifting stage, which will remove the DC levels for AC operation. And the last one is the power amplification or the output stage. So the output stage, which is a power amplifier, is normally of push-pull type or complementary symmetry. Anyway, we'll be studying that later, the different types of power amplifiers. You just remember this last stage is a power amplifier, and level shifter, what does it do? Remember, op-amp can amplify both AC as well as DC signals. So the op-amp, you should remember, is capable of amplifying DC as well as AC input signals. So when it amplifies DC, what do you think will happen? See, I have a signal like this with some DC operating point of 5 volts and an AC value of 1 volt peak to peak. When this signal is fed to the op-amp, it can amplify this AC as well as DC level. That 5 volts may become 10 volts and that 1 volt signal can become 10 volt or anything. So imagine both these things are amplified. Then what happens? What would be the problem? Remember, every active device will have a maximum limit for output voltage, and that limit is set by the DC voltage which we use in the circuit. Remember, there will be DC voltages which are used by the transistors which are used in these amplifiers, and those transistors will move off to saturation if that output voltage is above the DC voltage level. Say you're supplying DC voltage level of 12 volts, you can get a maximum output level of only 12 volts and not more than that. Highest, even it will be usually less than 12 volts. 10 to 12 volts will get 10 to 11.7, 11.8 max if I'm going to supply 12 volts DC. So please remember, you can get maximum output voltage of almost value equal to that of the DC supply voltage in any electronic circuit which works with an active device like transistor. So whenever there is a amplifier, remember the output voltage cannot exceed its DC level. So if you set DC level as 12 volts, here I can't get 20 volts output. Maximum output what I can get is 12. After that, this portion will get removed or clipped off. So you will see clipped output like this. The upper portion will get removed and you will be seeing output only till 12 volts. Similarly, on the other side also, negative also we can supply. So this should be avoided by shifting the level of the DC back to ground. So this level shifter, when required, it will shift the DC level back to 0 so that we can avoid saturation and clipping of voltages. So that is done at certain stages. And final stage of any multi-stage amplifier should be a power amplifier stage. Remember, operational amplifier is a multi-stage amplifier. It has 4 stages. So the last stage should always be a power amplifier for any given multi-stage amplifier. Okay. So as we discussed, op-amp comes from its original use for mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Hence, it gets the name op-amp, operational amplifier. Yeah, the block diagram is also here. You see, the first stage is called input stage, dual input, balanced output differential amplifier, as I told you. The second stage is known as intermediate stage, dual input, unbalanced output differential amplifier. Okay, so there are 2 stages of differential amplifier which give a very large gain for the op-amp. Remember, what is a differential amplifier? We will be studying this in more detail, but for now, as of now, you remember it is an amplifier which amplifies the difference between the two input signals. So an amplifier which amplifies the difference between two input signals is known as differential amplifier. So remember, we have two input connections here. We are going to apply one voltage here and another voltage here, and the difference between the two will be amplified by this differential amplifier stage, and it is going to provide all the gain of the op-amp. Op-amp is a very high gain amplifier, as we have already defined. So how do I define an op-amp? Op-amp is a high gain differential amplifier which can amplify both AC and DC signals. That's the best and simplest definition you can give for an op-amp. A high gain differential amplifier which can amplify both AC and DC signals. That high gain is provided by using two stages of differential amplifiers. The level shifting stage is basically an emitter follower. We have studied emitter follower or source follower circuit. You remember the common drain amplifier which we studied in FET amplifiers, module 2. That if I use a BJT in place of FET, it becomes an emitter follower. In an FET, we called it as source follower. So we use a constant current source in the emitter region or emitter terminal. That's how it is designed, the level shifting stage. Output stage will normally be a complementary symmetry push-pull amplifier, which we are going to study in module 3. So op-amp takes two inputs and provides one output. Here the output voltage is like this. Okay, this is the basic block diagram of op-amp. Next, coming to the pin configuration of op-amp. Op-amp is a 8-pin. What package do we call this as? Can somebody tell me? How is this? What is the name for this kind of IC package? Does anybody know?
Dual line package.
Dual inline package. This is called dual inline package, or in short we call it as DIP. So what is this dual inline package? You have two layers of silicon. You see, this is the upper layer. Okay, this is upper, and I have below this the lower layer, and these pins are sandwiched in between the two layers. You see from where these metallic contacts come out like this, they are sandwiched between the upper and lower layers. That's why we call it as dual inline package. So the actual silicon IC will be sandwiched between two layers of plastic or silica. Okay. So there are many manufacturers available for the op-amp. We have based on the manufacturers. Do you know the naming convention of op-amp? Okay, if I write MUA741C, can you tell me what does this MUA stand for? Quickly. What does MUA stand for? Anybody? IC naming conventions. MUA are the initials. The first two letters represent the name of the manufacturer. Please remember that. The standard IC naming conventions tell you the first two letters what you use will always give you the name of the manufacturer, and MUA represents Fairchild Company from the US. All of you should have heard of Fairchild Semiconductors. They manufactured the op-amps and their initials were mu A. Any IC that is manufactured by Fairchild starts with the letters mu A. 741 is an arbitrary number. Usually this number doesn't signify anything, but here, just for the sake of remembering, we can remember 7 and 4 represent the power supply pins. Actually, they don't mean anything, but just for remembering, I'm telling you, pin numbers 7 and 4 are the place where we give the positive and negative power supplies. You see here in this block, in this pin diagram, you can see V plus positive of the power supply is given to pin 7 and V minus negative of the power supply is given to pin 4. So 741 and 1 is known as an offset null pin usually. Okay, I'll tell you where it is used and how. So please remember, usually these numbers don't mean anything. They are just a way of categorizing things. But for the sake of remembering op-amp power supplies, you can remember 7 and 4 represent the positive and negative of the supply. What does this last letter represent? I'll have 1 or 2 letters afterwards also very often. Any idea what does this represent? Yes or no? C stands for commercial grade. So what is a commercial grade IC? A commercial grade IC is designed to operate between 0 to 70 degrees centigrade. Remember, a commercial grade IC works in the temperature range 0 to 70 degrees centigrade, whereas I can have a military grade. A military grade IC is represented with the letter A. If I use 741A, then it means it is a military grade IC. This military grade IC works from minus 75 to plus 175 degrees centigrade approximately. This will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, but usually you can assume it will work in the range minus 75 or minus 50 to plus 175, a huge temperature range. Can you tell me where we will make use of military grade ICs? Application? Do you need to think so much? It's there in the name itself. Where do you use military grade ICs?
Defense.
Yes, for defense applications or applications wherever you're working with high temperature variations like satellites. Remember, we launched satellites into space in an orbit which is 36,000 kilometers away from the Earth. At those extreme distances, the temperatures vary from very low to very high. So you'll have minus 155 to plus 175, so on. And we have ICs designed in that range also. They also come under the category of military grade. So wherever you expect to operate in extreme temperature conditions, like artificial satellites and military applications in defense and other things, you will make use of these military grade ICs. So only thing is they are designed to work with a tolerant to a very high temperature range. They should be working in spite of that. But if you use this 741C, this is designed to work only in this temperature range. It will fail if I launch it in an artificial satellite into space. It can't work in all temperatures. So you have to make sure you'll use a military grade IC there. Okay, is the naming convention clear to you? You can have a look here. I have put a table. I hope it's visible. The initials for the different manufacturers. Fairchild, mu A, mu AF is used. National Semiconductor is the manufacturer. The initials used would be LM, LH, LF, TBA. These are the initials used by National Semiconductor. Motorola people use just M, MC or MFC. You have M741, MC or MFC 741. RCA semiconductors will come with the initial CACD. Texas Instruments with SN, and you have TI also sometimes. Signetics Corporation will use N/S or NE or SE. NE, SE, N/S, all these are used by. We'll be studying one IC from the Signetics Corporation also later. The 555 timer is manufactured by Signetics. Burr Brown is another company initials. These are some examples of some op-amp manufacturing companies and their initials. And the DIP package is as shown. We have other packages also. Anyway, this is available in DIP package. And coming to the 8 different pins, it has 8 pins. As you can see, the internal diagram was also shown. Pin 2 is the inverting input. So any signal given here will be negated. This is the inverting input. Pin 3 non-inverting. Pin 4 is the negative power supply. And pin 5, I'll come back. Pin 6 is the output. So the output pin is pin 6. Pin 7 is the positive power supply. And pin 8 was left for future use. It is not connected. Pin 1 and 5 are known as offset null pins. And the main reason they are provided is, remember, an op-amp has 2 differential amplifier stages. I showed you an op-amp has 2 stages of differential amplifiers. Ideally, when I make V1 equal to V2, or when I short both and connect to ground. Imagine I'll short both and connect to ground. Then what do you expect the output voltage to be? You haven't given any difference in the 2 inputs and it is 0. Both are shorted and it is connected to ground. You should expect the output to be 0. But practically what happens, this output will not be 0. It will have some small value, say 0.0001, something like this. There will be a very small value of output voltage even when both the inputs are shorted and connected to ground. This voltage is known as the offset voltage or the error voltage. It is an error, and that happens because of the mismatch between 2 transistors which we use in a differential amplifier. A differential amplifier will use 2 transistors like this. It will make use of 2 transistors connected like this. Okay, this is how a differential amplifier is designed normally. And if there is a small mismatch in both the transistors, remember, no 2 transistors can have the same beta, right? So because of this small mismatch between the beta values of these 2 transistors, because of this beta mismatch, it will lead to a small error voltage or offset voltage present even when the inputs are 0. And that offset voltage has to be removed if we want high accuracy or high precision applications. If you are using the op-amp for very high accuracy or precision, you will have to take care of that offset voltage and eliminate it. This pin 1 and 5 are provided to help us do it. See, in this connection diagram, you can see I have connected a 10K potentiometer between the pins 1 and 5, which are the offset null pins. And the negative supply, which is at pin 4. Remember, pin 4 is your negative supply minus VEE. I'll take that supply and connect it to the variable terminal of the potentiometer. This 10K potentiometer has 2 fixed terminals, each of which are connected to pins 1 and 5, the offset null pins. And the middle terminal of the potentiometer is connected to the negative power supply. By doing this, what we are going to do, we'll be varying this potentiometer resistance and the voltage drop which is coming here, so that we can make the output 0. So even when the inputs are 0, shorted and made 0. If we can make the output 0, we have to use this connection. Hence, they are called offset nulling pins or offset null pins. Is that clear? So, whatever pin 8 was left for future usage hasn't been used even till today. You remember when the op-amp was manufactured? In which year? Anybody? You would have attended quizzes and all that. Which year op-amp was manufactured? Okay, don't search now. It was in the 1970s. Somewhere in 1971, the op-amp was manufactured. Okay. And coming to the useful pins, the commonly used pins of the op-amp. Pin number 3, the non-inverting input terminal. Pin 2, the inverting. So any signal, remember, any signal fed to the non-inverting input terminal will have an output in phase. So if the input is given like this, the output will be in phase whenever we give that signal to the non-inverting input by grounding the inverting. But if you give an input signal to the inverting terminal like this, you will see the corresponding output signal would be out of phase. It will be inverted. That's why we call this as the inverting terminal and this as the non-inverting. When output and input are in phase, it is given at the non-inverting terminal. If output is 180° out of phase with the input is like this, output is exactly reversed, then this signal would have been given to the inverting input. Okay. And when both are like this, this has been given to the non-inverting input. As usual, this should be, the positive of the supply should be pin 7 and negative of the supply should be pin 4. We also call this as positive rail and negative rail. Why rail? You remember the railway track is parallel like this. And DC voltage is represented with straight line. And if you see, this is plus V and this is minus V. So it looks like two parallel lines or a railway track. They call it as positive and negative rail. And pin 6 is the output terminal. Here the numbers given are from a different IC. We are normally using op-amp MUA 741. So the pin configuration is like this. Okay, and these are the commonly used 5 terminals in an op-amp. Op-amp equivalent circuit. If I want to replace the amplifier action inside an op-amp using Thevenin's equivalent circuit, I want to write a model for the amplifier, operational amplifier using Thevenin's equivalent model internally. You remember we had done this for normal amplifiers also. When we discussed the starting of amplifiers, we wrote the Thevenin's equivalent model. The input side will have an input resistance Rin between the two input terminals. And at the output side, we have a dependent voltage source AOL into VD, where VD represents the differential voltage between voltages given at the two input terminals, inverting and non-inverting. Okay, so this represents the differential voltage VD multiplied with AOL stands for the open loop gain. AOL represents the open loop gain of op-amp. What do you mean by open loop gain? When there is no feedback connected in an op-amp circuit. Open loop means when an op-amp is used as it is without any type of feedback being connected. Okay, so this represents the open loop gain. So into the differential input voltage, which is V1 difference of V2. Hence, this is a dependent voltage source. What I have here is a dependent voltage source. And what does this dependent voltage source depend upon? It depends on the differential input voltage VD and the open loop gain of the op-amp. So it is the gain for which the op-amp has been designed by the manufacturer. Without any feedback, it will give us that. Remember, they are high gain. You will have gain in the range of 10 to the power of 5 or 10 to the power of 6. And naturally, while writing Thevenin's equivalent, any voltage source will have a series resistance. This represents the output resistance or output impedance of this op-amp. So basically, this represents the op-amp equivalent circuit, which you can use to analyze whenever we are finding the various parameters in an op-amp. Okay, I hope you understood all this. Next, coming to the op-amp voltage transfer curve. What is the meaning of this op-amp voltage transfer curve? Remember, it is a graph of output voltage along the y-axis versus the differential input voltage along the x-axis. So when we give some input voltage, usually what happens? For very small variations of the input voltage, when the input voltage is varying in few microvolts or so, you will see the output voltage will also increase linearly. So when I have the input as say 0.5 microvolts or 1 microvolt, the output voltage can be 1 volt or something. Similarly, when you have the input as 2 micro, or let me take 0.5 and 1 micro here, you'll have output varying or increasing linearly with the input. But there is a limit for that. Once the output reaches a level called as positive saturation voltage, irrespective of increase in the differential input, the output will remain the same. Why does this happen? Tell me quickly. So many times we have discussed this. Why will the output not increase after this level? What happens to the active devices? Remember, op-amp is made of differential amplifiers which use transistors. And you have given a DC voltage for the transistor to be biased. So the device saturates, or the output voltage cannot increase beyond the DC voltage or the saturation voltage which is given to an amplifier. So please remember, the positive saturation voltage plus V is reached here. That's why even if the differential input increases, output cannot increase. It will remain at the same level. That's the maximum output voltage which you can get from an electronic device. Similarly, on the negative side also, if I give negative differential input, that V1 minus V2, if it is negative, initially you will see, for what I mean to say is, just like how we have the output voltage increasing linearly in the positive direction of the differential input voltage, in the negative direction of differential input voltage minus VD, this negative x-axis also, you will see the output voltage increasing linearly. For very small input differential voltage, the output voltage will be large. 0.5 microvolts, the output voltage can be 5 volts. 1 microvolt, the output voltage can be 10 volts. And anything beyond that, if it goes, the output has reached the negative saturation, which is equivalent to the negative supply. Just like how positive saturation is almost equivalent to positive supply plus VCC. Remember, we use 2 DC supplies for an op-amp. Op-amp will work only when you give 2 DC supplies. The negative saturation is reached when I use negative supply. And if the input decreases beyond this, or if I give more and more negative increased values of input, output will still remain at minus VE. Okay. So that is about the transfer characteristics. Next, trying to understand what do we mean by open loop mode and gain. So what is open loop mode of an op-amp? When we don't connect any feedback from the output to the input side, either in the positive terminal or in the negative terminal. There is no feedback connection. Then it is open loop mode. So as long as there is no feedback connection in an op-amp, we call that mode of operation of op-amp as open loop mode of operation. Okay. So you can see what happens to the output in open loop mode. Remember, see, I am showing you an example where we have connected two signal sources V in 1. This is a source V in 1 and this is a source V in 2. We have connected two signal sources at the op-amp non-inverting and inverting terminals. And the output will surely be equivalent to the open loop gain into which is the non-inverting voltage V in 1 minus V in 2. Voltage given to the non-inverting terminal will always be taken as positive. Voltage given to the inverting terminal will have a negative sign when it comes to the output. So the output voltage is given like this. And what is the range of open loop gain of op-amp? Can somebody draw the waveform for this and show how will it look? What is the open loop gain of a normal op-amp? What range? Is this working as an amplifier? If I use an op-amp without any feedback connection, will it still work like an amplifier? You have studied so much about op-amps, man. Remember, the ideal open loop gain is infinity. Practical open loop gain will be in the range of 10 to the power of 5 or 10 to the power of 6. Very large voltage gain this op-amp has. Two differential amplifier stages are used to provide gain. It will have a very large gain. Now, however small this difference is, this VID here stands for the differential input V in 1 minus V in 2. This small differential input voltage will be amplified with a very large voltage. So now what happens to the output voltage? See, even if I have a very small voltage, when it gets multiplied with a very large voltage, whatever you have, you'll have the output voltage either at positive saturation or negative saturation. You will be having the output voltage in one of the two saturation levels, depending upon when the input, whenever the input at the non-inverting terminal is more than that at the inverting, output will be at positive saturation. Plus VSAT we call it as. And whenever the voltage at inverting input is higher, whenever, so here plus VSAT is when V in 1, the voltage given at the non-inverting terminal is greater than voltage given at the inverting terminal V in 2. Correct? And when do I have negative saturation or minus VSAT? You will have negative saturation when the voltage given at the inverting terminal is more than the voltage at the non-inverting, or when V in 2 is greater than V in 1. You see, whenever I have V in 1 greater than V in 2, voltage at plus input, non-inverting input is higher than voltage at minus input, then op-amp output remains at positive saturation. And whenever it is in the reverse, negative terminal input is more than positive terminal, then output will be at minus VSAT. So you're going to get this kind of output for small sinusoidal inputs or VID. I am taking this as VID, the differential input voltage, which is V in 1 minus V in 2. Okay. So op-amp behaves like a comparator. As you can see here, what is a comparator basically? A comparator is a circuit which can compare two of its input voltages and generate an output which gives you the result of comparison. So if I want to know which voltage is greater, I'll get to know that in the result depending upon whether the output is at plus VSAT or minus VSAT. You would have fed two input signals. If you want to know whether V in 1 is greater or V in 2, you just connect both to the circuit and observe the output. If the output is at positive saturation, if at all the output is at positive saturation, then V in 1 which is given to the positive terminal will be greater than V in 2 which is given to the negative terminal. When I say greater, it is slightly greater. Remember, the differential input should be only between microvolts. Okay. So the differential input voltage will be between few microvolts. Even if the difference between these two signals is slightly greater than 1 or 2 microvolts, you will see the output of the op-amp going to one of the saturation levels. Whenever this terminal voltage, negative terminal input voltage is higher than positive terminal input voltage, the op-amp will be at negative saturation. It will be at minus VSAT. So remember, the op-amp output can either be at plus VSAT or minus VSAT whenever it is working in open loop mode. Remember that. So the open loop mode of an op-amp ideally has infinite gain, but practically its gain is in the range of 10 power 5 or 10 power 6. And whenever an op-amp is working in the open loop gain, please remember its basic application is as a comparator. So in open loop gain, the application of op-amp is as a comparator. We'll be studying examples of this later. Any doubts with this? So even though this is an amplifier and a high gain differential amplifier as such, we cannot make use of the op-amp for amplifier applications if we are working in the open loop mode. If you want to design an amplifier for a given gain, say 10 or 100, then it is compulsory that I will bring down and regulate the high gain. Remember, the main reason why the output is going to one of the saturation levels is because of this very high gain. Say you have 0.1 volt at the input, the output will be 10 power 6 into 0.1 volt. How much would that voltage be? It will be 10 power 5 volts. How do you represent such a large voltage in a circuit which has VCC only say plus 10 volts and minus VEE minus 10 volts? You have power supplies in the range plus 10 and minus 10. The output voltage can remain at plus 10 volts positive peak, VSAT, minus 10 volts negative peak, not less than that or not more than that. So depending on your DC voltages, the output voltage will have to be decided and stabilized. That's why the difference input voltage is always very, very small. Because of the high gain of the op-amp, the differential input will be very small. So next we have to deal with part 1. And the basic topics in part 1 of the op-amp are the basics, closed loop amplifier, op-amp working as a closed loop amplifier, non-inverting amplifier where we find voltage gain, input and output impedance, and inverting amplifier with feedback. You'll again find the same parameters and bandwidth of an amplifier. These are the various topics which we have to discuss. So just before we have some more time. Let's just finish this. The output and input is connected through a resistor known as feedback resistor, or even directly. Then we have feedback in an op-amp circuit. As you can see here, an op-amp circuit will have feedback when the output and input terminals are directly connected or connected through a resistor, as shown. We can have two types of feedback. One is positive feedback. If the output voltage, as you can see here, if the output is connected to the plus terminal, non-inverting input, then we call this as positive feedback. Why? Because remember, positive feedback is that case where the output signal and input signal will be in phase. So depending on the value of output signal, the input signal will also be in the same phase as the output, because the feedback is returned in phase. So it gets added with the existing input and it tries to increase the magnitude of the output signal or in the voltage gain. So whenever you give positive feedback in an op-amp, you should connect the output to the non-inverting terminal either directly or through some resistance. Okay. And as I told you already, positive feedback is used in oscillators. We have seen oscillator circuits which use positive feedback. And what is negative feedback? Negative feedback is that condition wherein the output voltage is brought back and connected to the inverting terminal of the op-amp. You see, when the output voltage is connected across this op-amp, like from output to input through a resistor, but given to the inverting terminal. What happens when we give it to the inverting terminal? It will become out of phase. If the voltage at the inverting terminal was like this, the feedback signal will be out of phase. So what will happen? It will end up getting subtracted. I will have this minus this, and you will have a very low value of input signal. Okay. So whenever I give negative feedback, the output signal or a portion of the output signal will be returned to the input side out of phase. So if the input signal was like this, the feedback signal will be returned with 180-degree phase shift with the input signal, because of which the feedback gets subtracted from the input, resulting in a very low level of input signal. The input signal decreases, therefore output also decreases. Vi decreases, V0 also decreases in negative feedback. But if I have to design and work with op-amps as amplifiers, I have to compulsorily use negative feedback in my circuits. If I don't have negative feedback in an amplifier, the op-amp cannot be used as amplifier, but it will be used as a comparator, like what I showed you here. If you want to use op-amp in open loop mode without any feedback, you should be using it as a comparator. It will only help compare the two input signals. But if you want the op-amp to amplify, just give me a minute. If at all you want the op-amp to amplify, then you have to compulsorily provide negative feedback in an op-amp. See here, otherwise you cannot design op-amp amplifiers. So negative feedback is compulsory in op-amp amplifiers. Otherwise, an op-amp cannot work like an amplifier as per our design. Because when we are using it in open loop, it will give you a very large gain and it will keep the output either at positive saturation or at negative saturation. So before winding up, there are 4 different types of feedback possible. We have voltage series feedback. Please understand, I'll give you a simple way to remember this. Okay, if at all shall we continue with this in the next class? Since it's time, you can drop in your USNs. In the meanwhile, I'll just tell you what this means. Voltage series feedback amplifier. The first term in the name, if name is first term, always stands for the output signal. So in a given amplifier, if voltage is the output signal, that will be the first term in the name of the feedback amplifier. This second term represents how it is fed back, how the signal is fed back at the input. If the signal is added to the existing input in series, then we call it as series mixing. So we say this indicates the type of mixing, how the signal is mixed to the input signal, and the first term represents the output signal. So this is the standard naming convention used in feedback amplifiers. Remember, we'll be studying it in feedback. I'll not repeat this there. Since we are already discussing it here and we need it here, I'm going to classify, there are 2 terms here. One is the output signal. The output can be a voltage or current, 2 options. And the second is how the signal is mixed back to the input on the input side, whether the signal is mixed to the input in series or in shunt. So depending upon this, 2 more parameters. So totally I will have 2 square or 4 different types of feedback amplifiers. So you will have 4 different types of feedback amplifiers, as you can see, because I have 2 variants of output signals and 2 variants on how it gets mixed. Okay. We'll see each one of these in the next class. Have you all dropped in your USN?